My name is Lena. I am a mother. And if I had listened to my inner voice 3 years ago, my son would not be looking at the sky from a stranger's window, wondering when he would return home. The story I am about to tell you is not about mental illness. It is about love that turned into poison. I never planned to return to Moravia. Not because I hated it. It's not some rundown town from a movie about rural America. It's clean, quiet, and safe. There's a nice library, farmers' markets on Saturdays, a park with ducks and swings for children. It's the kind of town people return to in order to raise their children in a normal environment. But I always felt cramped there. Actually, I felt cramped even as a child, in our yellow brick house, where everything was in its place. My mother was neat, gentle, and proper. My father was silent, strict, and reliable. And then there was Martha, my older sister. My favorite. She knew how to be exactly what our parents wanted their daughter to be. Polite, obedient, with excellent grades, long hair, collared shirts, and the ability to keep quiet when necessary. I was different. Not rebellious, no. Just awkward. I asked questions that no one wanted to hear. I was silent when I should have said thank you. I read books instead of helping my mother in the kitchen. I was weird. Martha never hurt me. She didn't yell, tease, or tell on me. But her silence always spoke louder than any words. When she did something better than me, which was almost always, she just smiled and nodded. Without malice. But every glance she gave me was like a reminder. See how it should be done. Why aren't you like that? So I ran away. After school, I moved to another state. Chicago seemed like a new life to me. There I met Alex, my husband. We weren't alike, but that's what attracted us to each other. He was collected, calm, mature. I was confused, emotional, full of ideas. We fell in love so quickly that we didn't even realize it. We were already renting an apartment together and looking for a blender for smoothies. A year later, we got married. My parents came to the wedding. Marta came too. She gave us a set of bedding and a book called Ideas for Future Parents. At the time, it wasn't funny, it was scary. We hadn't even discussed children yet. After that, we rarely saw each other. Once a year, at Christmas. I called my mom, sent her photos from my travels, and occasionally sent a Thanksgiving card. My childhood was behind me, or so I thought. Or so I wanted to think. And then everything went wrong. Alex and I lost our first child. I found out I was pregnant in the 8th week and lost it in the 10th. It was a tiny blob on the screen, a barely perceptible heartbeat that stopped before I had time to get used to the idea that it was there. I didn't tell anyone. Only Alex. And the doctor. And, by accident, my mom. She called on the day I was lying on the couch, wrapped in a blanket with a heating pad on my stomach. I couldn't hold back my voice when I answered. She heard it. That same week, she called again with an offer. You know, your dad and I are ready to help. If things get tough, you can always come back. Alex was devastated too. He suggested we move back, at least temporarily, to rest and be closer to family. We rented out our Chicago loft, packed our things, and returned to Moravia. For 6 months. We live in a house rented by Uncle Rick, my mother's brother. It's a 2-story house with white walls and a wide porch. It's quite spacious. Too spacious for 2 people who don't know yet whether they want children. Martha lives 4 blocks away. Her house is visible from the park, red brick with a swing under a tree. Martha, she's too calm. Too soft. Too in the know. She's always there, it seems. Once I told my mom that we were planning a weekend trip to the mountains, and the next day Martha sent me a list of restaurants in the area. Alex and I were thinking of renting a dog from a shelter for a few days. Martha brought a collar and a bowl, because we had them left over from when they tried to get a puppy. It's strange. Not scary. But something in me doesn't believe it's a coincidence. Even stranger is her curiosity about our lives. Not just, what's new? But, have you tried this method of cycle planning? What vitamins are you taking? You know that after 35, the risks increase, right? Martha isn't a doctor. She teaches 3rd grade at a local school. But she talks as if she's my doula, gynecologist, and mentor all rolled into one. And me? I keep quiet. I smile. I let her come in, bring fresh pastries, give advice, sit on my couch. Because I'm ashamed to say no. Because I don't want to start a war in the family. Because everyone thinks Martha is golden. And one more thing. Martha hates it when I mention Chicago. Once, when we were having dinner at her place, I mentioned that we might go back soon. I miss the city. Her smile disappeared for a split second. It just faded away. Then it came back, but something remained in her eyes. Chicago is no place for a child, she said, cutting her meat. It's for people who want to play at freedom forever. It was unpleasant. Like a door slamming in the dark. We don't have a child yet. But lately, it seems like Alex and I have completely different views on it. He wants to try again. I don't. Not now. Maybe never. And what scares me the most isn't that I don't want to be a mom. It's that I don't want to be a mom with Martha around. Because every day, it seems like she's getting ready for something we haven't decided yet. And that she'll always be here. Right next to us. Even when we don't ask her to be. Alex was the first to notice strange things. She calls you more often than I do, he said one day as we were putting groceries away in the kitchen. And she always seems to know where we've been. I smiled, a little tiredly, a little guiltily. That's just Martha. She's always been like that, very involved. Alex didn't answer. He just put the apples in a bowl and looked out the window. That evening, the three of us had dinner together, Alex, Martha, and me. She brought homemade cannelloni and a bottle of wine to relax a little after a hard week. Her children were staying with her husband. She wanted to talk like adults. At first it was nice. She told stories from school, how one of the students stuck Lego in his nose and wouldn't admit it until he started sneezing blue bricks. Alex laughed, I laughed. It was warm. And then she turned to me and said, "By the way, I saw you leaving the pharmacy on Elm Street on Monday. Were you buying folic acid?" I froze. Yeah, something like that," I mumbled. But another thought flashed through my mind. Why was she there? Why was she watching? Why did she remember? Alex glanced at me quickly. I realized he had heard it too. It's just. I was nearby. "I saw you and thought it was great that you were starting to plan again." She smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. And I felt cramped in that room again. The next week, Martha invited me to a sister's lunch. For the first time in a long time, it would be just us, no husbands. It should have been nice. She chose a cafe with homemade baked goods and an open terrace. She was already there when I arrived, with a pink book in front of her, 9 Months of Love, The Psychology of Pregnancy for the Modern Woman. I sat down. We ordered. And she got right to the point. "You know, I understand that it's hard for you. After a loss, it always leaves a mark. But believe me, when you become a mother, everything will fall into place." I didn't answer. "I just think," she continued, "that you need support. That's all. You've always been so independent, and that's good. But now it's a different situation. And I can be there for you. Always." I took a sip of coffee. It was too hot. "I know you have doubts. But it's just fear. I had it too. With Lily, with Nathan, every time. But I wouldn't change it for anything." Martha spoke quietly. Too quietly. And gently. Like a pediatrician. Like a counselor. Like a mother. I nodded. I didn't say thank you or please. I just nodded. She took that as consent. After that lunch, she started showing up more often. The first time, she left a basket on the porch. It contained herbal teas for women's balance, essential oils, a few books, and a teddy bear with a tag that read, "My first friend." I kept that basket in my kitchen for a long time without touching it. The second time, she sent a postcard. Just to my mailbox. It said, "You're ready." I can see it. I tore it into little pieces. But those words stayed in my head. "You're ready." I can see it. Meanwhile, Alex was getting more and more restless. "We came here to calm down a bit. It feels like we're under a microscope." I nodded. But I felt more than just agreement. I felt anger. And fear. And shame. Because part of me, the part that had always been the awkward child, felt trapped again. That I was being measured again. That they wanted something from me. That I was being molded again into a sisterly template. And the other part of me was afraid to say anything. Because Martha is right. She is family. She doesn't do anything bad, right? A few weeks later, my mother organized a Sunday dinner, just like in the old days. Meatloaf, potatoes, cheese salad. Everyone gathered, Martha with her husband Alex and me, and my father, silent as always. Martha was helping in the kitchen. I was cutting bread. She was standing next to me and suddenly said, "You have no idea how much I want you to succeed." And then I felt something crack inside me. A small, imperceptible crack. But I knew that this was the beginning of the end. The day after Sunday dinner, Alex gave her an ultimatum. "I don't want to see her in our house without warning anymore." That was after we got home, and there was a box on the doorstep. No note, no text message, just a box. Inside were diapers, bottles, a set of bodysuits for 0 to 3 months, and a magazine called My First Year. Everything was new. Stylishly packaged. Expensive. I stood there with this box in my hands and couldn't breathe. This wasn't just caring. This was crossing a line. Alex took the box, carried it out to the garage, and simply said, "Enough." And I knew he was right. But something deeper was fighting inside me. Because when it came to Martha, I, a 33-year-old adult woman, still felt like that 13-year-old girl trying not to breathe too loudly so as not to spoil her sister's mood. I decided to talk to my mom. We met at a coffee shop on the corner of Main Street, where she meets her friends every Wednesday. I deliberately chose an open space. Witnesses. She immediately sensed that I was upset. "Something happened, sweetie?" I took a deep breath. "Mom, I want Martha to back off a little. She's too present in our lives." My mother tilted her head like a dog hearing an unfamiliar word. "In what way?" "She calls all the time. She comes over unannounced. She leaves things. She makes hints about the baby. She's interfering." My mother put down her cup. "But she's just worried. She loves you." "It's not love, Mom. It's control. She acts like my future child is already her business." My mother sighed. And she said the words I'd heard all my life. "You always take everything so personally." I laughed, shortly and without joy. "You know, maybe that's why I've always kept my distance." My mom fell silent. And I got up and left. The next morning, Martha texted me, "Hey, I saw your mom. She said you were a little upset. Maybe we should meet up?" "I'll make your favorite tea with orange zest." I stared at the screen, my fingers clenching the phone. She knew. Everything. And she immediately tried to fix it. To find balance, to smooth things over. But I didn't want to smooth things over. I wanted boundaries. I typed a reply, deleted it. Typed again, and deleted again. Finally, I wrote only, "Thanks, but not today." There was no reply. And I had a feeling. This was the calm before the storm. That week, I saw her again. By chance. At the grocery store. She was standing by the cereal aisle. She looked completely calm. She looked normal. But when I walked past, she said, "Are you pregnant?" I froze. She looked like someone who knew the question had been in the air for a long time. I mumbled something and walked on, without even buying what I had come for. That evening, I told Alex. "I told you," he said quietly. "She thinks it's her business. She already sees herself as part of everything." I wanted to argue. But I knew he was right. And that was starting to scare me. A few days later, I was home alone. Alex was out of town on business. It was cold. I was sitting in the kitchen with a cup of tea, trying to read, but I couldn't concentrate. Around noon, I heard a knock at the door. I opened it. Martha was standing there. She was bathed in sunlight, wearing a fog-colored coat. In her hands, she held another box. It was smaller, but also beautifully wrapped. "Hi," she said. "It's just a little gift." I didn't take the box. She put it on the step and looked at me. "Ava, I know you're angry, but I want you to know that I'm only doing this because I don't want you to be alone in this." I was silent. "I was there when your mother was carrying you. You weren't even born yet, but I already felt that you were mine. I've protected you since you were a child. And now, I just want to do it again." I felt cold. Too cold. "I don't need protection," I said. "And this child, if and when it comes, won't need your boxes." Martha looked at me longer than was comfortable. "I just want to help." This isn't help, I said. It's an invasion. She turned and walked away. I went into the house, locked the door, and sat down on the floor. And I cried. Because I knew it would get worse. It happened 5 months after the loss. I still remember that January morning. I was convinced that I had caught a cold. I felt exhausted, my body ached, and I felt nauseous. I blamed it all on winter apathy. Until one evening, Alex, with a suspicious smile, took a pregnancy test out of the medicine cabinet. What's that? I asked, squinting. It's a check. Because your apathy smells like your old school cafeteria. I grimaced. But I took the test. 2 stripes. I smiled automatically. Then I froze. Because my heart was pounding, not with happiness. With fear. It wasn't, yay, we're expecting again. It was, damn it. How could this happen again? I didn't want to talk about it. To anyone. Not even Alex, even though he was cautiously happy. I saw the same hope in his eyes as before. But now I couldn't share it. I was afraid. I hadn't had time to mourn the loss of my first pregnancy, and now I was supposed to be happy again. But I wasn't ready. Not at all. I didn't tell Martha. Not even my mom. Only Alex and I knew. And my gynecologist. And, honestly, it felt right. This time, I wanted to do everything differently. Quietly. Carefully. No prying eyes, no advice, no fake support. I didn't post anything. I didn't even share it with my closest friends. Not because I didn't trust them, but because I couldn't bear another loss in front of everyone. But when I was 13 weeks along, something went wrong. Martha sent me a message. I hope you're finally ready to share. This is such wonderful news, Ava. I'm so happy you're letting me be a part of this yellow heart. I froze. I didn't say anything to her. I immediately wrote back, what do you mean? She read it. She replied 5 minutes later, oh, I meant our conversations back then. Just intuition. You're glowing. It was a lie. I could feel it in my skin. I wrote back briefly, Martha, I haven't told you anything. Please don't make assumptions and don't write anything publicly about this. She didn't reply. And I wanted to believe that was the end of it. But 2 days later, I received a message from my student, Diana. Ms. Ava, congratulations. I saw on your sister's story that you're expecting a baby. Is it true? I'm so happy for you. I felt nauseous. Not from morning sickness. I went to Marta's page. She posted a photo of herself in some pastel-colored cafe with a cup of cocoa and a blanket. The caption read, waiting for spring has become especially symbolic tulip new life, new era. Thank you for letting me be an aunt. We will protect you from your first breath. There was no photo of my belly. There was no mention of my name. But it was obvious. It was an announcement. And it got over 800 likes. Alex didn't say anything. He just took my phone, read everything, turned it back to me, and said, we can't wait. Either we set a limit, or it will destroy us. That same evening, we wrote her a formal letter. No emotions. No accusations. Just, please do not share any information about my personal life without my written permission. If this happens again, we will be forced to take legal action. She read it in a minute. She replied 10 minutes later. I just wanted to share my happiness. But okay. If you want to be cold, be cold. 2 days later, the story disappeared. And again, silence. But it wasn't the same silence as before. It was the silence before the storm. Because I knew, she felt control. And Marta always disappears when she's up to something. I still remember that sound. A light, almost playful tapping on the kitchen window. 3 knocks. A pause. Another one. I was making myself some tea, ginger with lemon, as the doctor had recommended. Alex was out on business, and I was home alone for the first time in a week. I froze. The lights were on. It was daytime. Everything was quiet. But that knock, it made me jump. I went to the window. I didn't see anyone. The yard was empty. Snow-covered. Perfectly white. But something was shining on the windowsill outside. A small package. Wrapped in paper with the words, Welcome Little One, children's gift wrapping paper. I went out through the front door. Quietly, carefully. The snow was almost untouched, with only a few clear footprints near the window. I picked up the package. It was light. Inside was a teddy bear with the name Nick embroidered on it. I didn't know anyone named Nick, but I knew who left it. Martha. I didn't tell Alex right away. I didn't want him to worry again. But in the evening, when we sat down to dinner, I just put the box in front of him. This was by the window. Today. He looked inside silently. Then at me. Did she come here? I didn't see her. But there were footprints. He nodded slowly. Are you sure it was her? I just showed him the card hidden under the teddy bear. Her signature. The same M shaped like a heart. Martha knew where we lived. She had known since we moved here. Our houses are 4 blocks apart. She had been here many times for family dinners. But before, she had never come uninvited. Now that had changed. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of physical discomfort. It was because I felt a growing sense of anxiety. The gift was harmless. But the meaning was disturbing. She was crossing a line. And she hadn't even warned us. The next morning, I called my mother. Hi, Mom. Can I ask you something? Of course, her voice was wary. Did you know that Martha left a package under our window yesterday? Silence. She doesn't ask for permission anymore, Mom? She just wanted to do something nice. A gift, Aurora. She's worried about you. It's just from the heart. She had no right. It's an invasion. Do you understand? You're being too emotional. I'm pregnant, Mom. And for the first time in my life, I want to have control over my body, my life, and my space. This isn't a whim. She didn't answer. I hung up. That was the end of it. That same evening, Alex installed a new camera above the front door. We set up motion alerts. We ordered additional locks. Never. The night was quiet. But my sleep was restless. Martha stood in my living room with the baby in her arms, whispering, "He's mine." I can feel it. He chose me. I woke up from my own scream. And then I realized she was no longer just a sister who didn't respect boundaries. She was a threat. It was a normal Thursday. I went to the nearest store to buy bread and tangerines. My husband was at work, and I finally convinced myself that a walk would help me relax a little. I returned home around 1 o'clock. It was sunny, and the snow crunched under my feet. I turned the key in the lock and felt that the door was already open. In a split second, a million thoughts raced through my head. I stopped. I took a deep breath. I opened it. Martha was in the living room. She was sitting on my couch. There was a teapot on the table. My teapot. Hi, she said calmly, as if it were her home. I knew you'd be back soon. Don't worry, I didn't touch anything. I couldn't speak. I just stared at her. How did you get in? Uncle Rick gave me a spare set of keys once, remember? When you first moved in, I helped you move your things. He didn't ask for them back. She laughs. I don't. That's trespassing, Martha. You had no right to come in here. This is our shared space, Avra. We're family. I don't say anything. She continues drinking her tea as if nothing happened. I thought you might be having a hard time, so I decided to tidy up. I put your things in the nursery, by the way. You don't mind, do you? Silence. The nursery was closed. It was supposed to be closed. I go there. Slowly. I open the door. And everything inside has been changed. She rearranged the furniture. She put new pillows. She added a lamp with the inscription, "Hello, sunshine." I felt a chill run down my spine. What were you doing here? She appeared in the doorway. With her typical soft smile. Just making the space a little cozier. It was too sterile. I know what a child's room should look like. Get out, I whispered. Just get out. You're angry. But it's just hormones. I understand. I was like that too. You were never pregnant, I said loudly. It sounded harsh, even to me. Martha pressed her lips together. I still feel like it's my child, she said, almost in a whisper. Not physically, but energetically. I know he came through you, but he chose me. I took a step back. Get out. And don't ever come back without an invitation. She left. Slowly. Without protest. But when the door closed behind her, I ran to the nursery and locked it from the inside. For the first time, I understood. She doesn't just want to be around. She is building an alternative version of reality, and in it, I am superfluous. This time she didn't hide. This time, she put on a show. It was Sunday. Alex and I were returning from our morning checkup. The pregnancy was coming to an end. I was already 37 weeks along. I was tired, sweaty, and my stomach was aching. I just wanted to take off my shoes and stretch out on the couch. But as soon as we turned onto our street, we noticed a crowd in our neighbor's yard. There were 6 or 7 people standing in a semicircle. In the center was her, Martha, and she was holding a photo album. Our photo album. Ours. Photo album. From the bottom shelf, the one in the hallway. I stopped abruptly because Alex slammed on the brakes. She broke in, I whispered. She's putting on a show, he replied dryly. Right under our neighbors' noses. Martha was saying something loudly, gesturing wildly. When she saw us, she paused, and then shouted happily, "Oh, Avra. You're just in time. I'm showing everyone what a wonderful family history we have. How we waited for this baby." I couldn't move. But Alex could. He got out of the car, walked straight up to her, and, without even looking, snatched the album from her hands. "This is stolen. And this is the last time you're standing on our street. Alex." She took a step back, her eyes wide and confused. "I just wanted to show how strong Avra is. And how we all support her. People need to know. People need to know that you're harassing a pregnant woman." His voice was as flat as a knife. Then Martha changed. From confusion to intense tension in her eyes. She glanced at the neighbors, took 2 steps forward, and said, almost in a whisper, but clearly, "You don't understand, Alex. She's weak. She needs my help. She can't do it alone. I'm here for her." And at that moment, I realized she wasn't just obsessed with the baby. She wanted to replace me. We called the police. Yes, finally. Alex recorded everything, the break-in, the theft of the album, the attempt to manipulate public opinion, the neighbors who had just begun to disperse. Martha stood to the side when the patrol car arrived. She was smiling. She was filming everything on her phone. "I was just sharing family memories," she told the officers. "Is it a crime to love your sister now?" The police officer was unimpressed. "Ma'am, we need you to leave the premises. And don't come back. If you show up here again, you'll be reported." But I could see that it wouldn't stop her. It wasn't fear. It was confidence that she wouldn't be punished. And something told me she was planning something new. The labor started early. Not at night, not like in the movies. Just like that, in an instant. I was standing in the kitchen, holding a cup of mint tea, when I felt something shift inside me. Then the pain. Steady in waves. Alex reacted instantly. We grabbed the emergency bag and left. The emergency room was surprisingly empty. Silence. We were registered quickly, checked in, and our documents were verified. In recent weeks, I had been thinking more and more, I just hope everything goes smoothly. And now it was here. The contractions were painful. I screamed. Alex held my hand and breathed with me. The nurses were attentive. The team was professional. But inside me, all this time, it was as if there was a stranger watching. I told myself to focus. Just us. Just me, the baby, my husband. 6 hours later, my son was born. Small, with rosy cheeks. Incredibly quiet. The doctor smiled. He's perfect. We spent the night in the ward. Alex slept in a chair, the baby in a crib next to us. For the first time, I felt safe. Until morning. At 4 o'clock, I woke up from a feeling of movement. Someone was in the room. I slowly raised my head. "Mrs. Avro, don't worry, I'm just checking on the baby," said the woman in a white coat standing by the crib. I blinked. She was holding little Nick in her arms. But something wasn't right. Her hands were shaking. Her gown was clean, but she wasn't wearing a name tag. Her hair wasn't combed like a doctor's, but in a style I recognized. "Excuse me, show me your badge," I said loudly. The woman froze. "Show me your badge," I raised my voice. Alex woke up. "Who is that?" And then she turned around. Martha. Holding our son. Without permission. Without a uniform. Without the right. "Are you out of your mind?" I shouted. Alex lunged forward and snatched the baby from her arms. "How did you get in here?" he yelled. "How?" Martha stood there like a statue. I just wanted. I had to see him first. This is a connection, Avro. It can't be broken. Within seconds, the room was filled with security guards. Martha didn't resist. She just kept repeating, "This isn't theft. I didn't hurt anyone. I love him." It turned out that she had used a fake badge, finding a photo of a nurse on the internet. She printed it out, put on a white coat, and that was it. She got through the system. This time, she was officially detained. The police filed a report. We filed a complaint for attempted child abduction. The hospital changed its security protocols. We were assigned individual security guards until discharge. Marta. She is under house arrest. And waiting for trial. And I am holding my son for the first time, and I know that this world will no longer be carefree for him. But he will be protected. Because I will not break. The discharge from the hospital should have been peaceful. It was sunny. The nurse brought the documents, and the guard escorted us to the car. Nick was asleep in his carrier, and I breathed out for the first time in 2 days. Alex was silent. He had hardly slept a wink in days. The moment he snatched Nick from Martha's arms kept replaying in my head every hour. And in his, I could see it. At home, anxiety awaited us. We no longer saw our house as a place of strength. It was a space that Martha had already violated. Alex installed additional cameras. We bought pepper spray and even a stun gun, just in case. I made an appointment with a lawyer who specialized in restraining orders. And on the same day, we filed an official statement with the court. Marta was released on her own recognizance. Temporarily. The court date was set for a week later. The first few days at home were like living under a microscope. Nick cried at night, and I didn't sleep at all. Alex worked from home, but something in him had broken. He became silent and sharp. One night, when I couldn't calm my son down for the second time, I cried. And I said to him, "You don't have to be strong all the time." He just pressed his lips together. "We can't stop her. Do you understand that? Even the court may not issue a permanent restraining order. She just has to pretend she's seeking help, and they'll believe her." I didn't say anything then, because I knew he was right. But we didn't stop. We recorded statements, showed the police photos of her badge, showed them the video from the cameras where she can be seen leaving the hospital in a medical gown and disappearing around the corner. While we were waiting for the trial, I received a message. Anonymous. No signature. A photo from the hospital. Me sleeping with Nick in my arms. The photo was taken from the window opposite, through the blinds. Part of the hospital room is visible in the frame. And the caption, "I'm always here." I didn't show Alex the photo that day. I just deleted it. And I doubled the security. Because this is war. And I will no longer allow anyone to hold my child in their arms without my permission. Next stop, court. The courtroom was cold. It smelled of plastic, coffee, and anticipation. Martha appeared in a cream-colored dress, her hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked festive. Next to her was her lawyer, a thin woman with shark-like eyes. I was shaking. Not from fear. From anger. I couldn't believe that this was a real courtroom and not a nightmare. "You want to restrict your sister's contact with her child?" the judge asked. "She tried to kidnap him from the hospital. Isn't that enough?" "My client is in therapy," Martha's lawyer interjected. "She has acknowledged her behavior. But that's no reason to separate her from her child forever. It's more punishment than punishment. She's not a mother." "She has no legal connection to my son," I said, looking Martha in the eye. She crossed every line. Martha was silent. Then she suddenly stood up. "Your Honor," she said quietly. "If something happens to my sister, who will take care of the child? They have no relatives. I have a stable job, a place to live, parenting experience. You don't have children," the judge interrupted her. "But I want to be the guardian in case of an emergency. It's logical. I'm the closest relative." I almost laughed. But not out of laughter. She not only refuses to admit her guilt, she wants to become a part of my life legally. Even though I kicked her out of it physically. After the trial, Alex and I didn't speak in the car. Only when we were in the parking lot did he suddenly say, "We can't last another year in this city. We're under a microscope. I'm losing control." "What are you talking about?" "Chicago." Silence. Then he continued, Remember that office that offered me a contract? They still have an opening. If I apply now, we can leave in 2 weeks. I wanted to agree. But what if she finds us there? We'll change our address. We'll try to go underground. And then my phone beeped. The number was hidden. The message was short: if you leave, I'll find you. I know you better than you know yourselves. I showed it to Alex. And we realized that running away was not an option. But we had to prepare for the next attack. Almost 2 years have passed since we left that city. 2 years of fear, paranoia, therapy, and a slow return to life. Nick has grown up. He is 2.5 years old. He speaks incomplete sentences, asks for bedtime stories, and calls Alex his hero. I had changed too. I kept my distance. Even from my friends. I didn't use social media. I had no contact with my family. But just when I believed that this was a new beginning, she came back. I was looking for a babysitter. Finding someone you can trust with your child after everything that had happened was almost impossible. But I started putting out ads. I interviewed girls. One morning, when Alex was away on business, the doorbell rang. I opened it and almost lost my balance. Martha was standing there. Quiet. No makeup. In jeans and a dark sweater. Her hands were shaking. I saw your ad. Through the agency. I came because I couldn't not come. I couldn't say a word. Listen to me, she whispered, please. I didn't come to kidnap you. I won't do anything else. I'm in therapy. I have a diagnosis. I'm taking medication. I'm not the same person anymore. She started to cry. I know I ruined everything. But I have no one. My husband left me. I can't have children anymore. The doctors confirmed it. And I need some kind of family. I've been silent until now. There was a lump in my throat. Just let me help. I won't stay overnight. I won't be alone with him. You'll be there. But give me a chance. One chance. I swear I've been through hell and come out a different person. I don't know why. Or because of the way her hands were shaking. Or because Nick peeked out from behind me and asked, Mom, who's that? I said, come in. But if I see anything strange, even the slightest suspicion, I'll close this door forever. Alex was furious when he found out. You're letting her near our son? She's been in therapy. I'm in control. She won't be left alone with him. This time it will be different, right? He said with bitter irony in his voice. I looked at him. If I'm wrong, it will be my last mistake. Martha started coming 3 times a week. She helped silently. No photos. No hints about the internet. She behaved calmly. She seemed normal. But I didn't know yet that normal was just a mask. And very soon it would slip away. I began to trust her. Martha was different. Really. She arrived on time, didn't try to take pictures of Nick, didn't touch my phone, didn't look in the windows. She didn't even bring up the past, not the house, not my parents, not her expulsion. She was gentle with Nick. Patient. Careful. Even Alex, though he hadn't forgotten, no longer lashed out at her name. He watched closely, but stopped protesting. 3 months passed. I let Martha take Nick out without me for the first time. Just to the playground, 2 blocks down the street. I could see him from the kitchen window. It was always crowded there. Lots of moms, a neat fence, 1 entrance gate. You'll text me every 15 minutes, okay? I said at the door. Martha nodded. Sure. I understand. Everything will be fine. And it was. The first week went smoothly. I received messages, sometimes even photos of the swing or chalk drawings on the asphalt. I relaxed. Martha started taking him to the playground regularly. That day, I stayed a little late on my laptop. I looked at the clock, 5:42 p.m. They should have been home half an hour ago. I wrote. Everything okay? Nothing. I called. The phone was off. I ran out to the playground. I could see it from behind the bushes. Empty. Empty. Not a single child. Not a single mother I knew. Martha and Nick were gone. I called again. The phone was off. Alex, I said, barely breathing. She took him. She took him. What? Where are you? I'm on my way. I shouted his name across the empty playground. I asked passersby, showed them his photo. No one had seen him. No one knew anything. And all I could think was, don't you think I'm going to leave him to you? The police were called immediately. Alex arrived in 10 minutes. We were both panicking, our voices were hoarse, our hands were shaking. She took our son. I shouted at the patrol officers. She's mentally unstable. She worked as a nanny. But she has a criminal record. She's stalked us before. The officer called for an investigator. The interrogations began. Forms were filled out. Everything we had was checked. Photos, messages, even a list of toys in Nick's backpack. Nick was gone. And she took him. At 9:30 p.m., the phone rang. We may have found a lead, said the investigator. How? Your sister doesn't officially have a new registration, but we checked the logistics delivery database. Over the past few months, Martha has regularly received packages with children's items, clothes, diapers, bottles to the same address. She listed the name, M. Sullivan. And you were able to find the apartment? One of the courier companies, FedEx, had automatic facial recognition at the entrances to the buildings. We confirmed that she had entered a new building on the outskirts of the city several times in recent weeks. At 10:10 p.m., we were there with the police. Warrant. Silence. The door was locked from the inside. The lock had been broken. The place was spotless. The lights were dim. It was almost too cozy. On the floor were soft rugs, children's books, toy dishes, and a plate with the name Nick written on it. The room on the right was a child's room. It was perfect, like something out of an advertisement. Blue curtains, animal-shaped pillows, a wardrobe with sets of new clothes. I open the door and see signs, pajamas, fall, socks, 3 to 4 years. The picture frames on the wall are empty, but labeled. My first step. My favorite smile. And a sign above the door. My son. She lived here with him, I whispered. She prepared all this. The investigator nodded. She had been preparing for this for a long time. The packages arrived in the spring. You only started hiring a nanny in the fall, right? I nodded. My head was spinning. She waited for the right moment. Patiently. For months. The camera footage showed Martha bringing Nick in at 5:03 p.m. She left through the back door. Alone. We stood in the middle of a fake fairy tale created by a woman who believed she was the mother of my son. And he was still out there somewhere. Without us. The next morning at 5:46 a.m., the phone rang. We found her. And the baby. I don't remember getting dressed. I don't remember running to the car. I don't remember yelling at Alex to drive faster. I only remember one thing. Nick is alive. We're going to him. The police found them in a motel 40 miles from our town. Martha had booked the room under a false name, just like she had done with the apartment. The same, M. Sullivan. When the officers entered, Martha was sitting on the floor with Nick. He was playing with toy cars. She was singing something gentle to him, like a lullaby. She didn't resist. She didn't scream. She just looked at the cops with a cold, defiant stare. I didn't steal him. He's mine. Nick was physically unharmed. A little disoriented. Tired. He rushed toward me with his first cry. Mommy. I grabbed him, torn between relief and shock. His hair smelled of someone else's shampoo. His clothes were new, not ours. It's okay, baby. I'm here. It's okay. But no. Nothing was okay. At the police station, I heard more. Martha told the investigators that I had made her lose her child, that I had stolen her family, that Nick was born thanks to her prayers, and that she was the only real mother. She planned this long before she came back into your life, the officer said. You see, the female investigator added, she didn't just want to kidnap a child. She truly believed she was fixing the world. She believed she was taking back what was hers. I sat with Nick in my arms in the sterile room, and something inside me was breaking. Every word erased any hope that this was a mistake, a lapse, an emotional breakdown. It was an obsession. A delicately constructed, well-thought-out, and deeply sick reality. And the worst part was when Nick, at home before bedtime, whispered, "Where's Aunt Martha?" She said we were going to her castle. I couldn't hold back the tears. He didn't understand yet, but she had already poisoned him. The trial lasted 2 days. I testified, Alex did too. Police officers, psychiatrists, our lawyer, details from FedEx, photos of the children's room, video from the motel camera. Martha was silent. In a light-colored dress, with her hair neatly braided, she looked like she was playing a role again. Only once did her eyes rest on me. No tears. No remorse. Just emptiness. When the investigator read her words, "I am his real mother. I know better what he needs." She smiled. The judge found her guilty of unlawful detention of a minor, fraud, for using a false name, and violation of a protective order. She was sent to a psychiatric clinic under court supervision. The minimum term is 5 years. There were no other options. I wasn't happy. It wasn't a victory. It was the end of a war I never wanted. Months passed. Nick is laughing again. Sometimes he asks about his aunt, but I always tell him the truth, briefly, gently. She was sick. Doctors are helping her now. He nods. And continues playing. And every evening, I check the locks, cameras, and alarm button. Not because I'm afraid, but because I've learned that instincts rarely lie. I want to say this. If someone in your life crosses boundaries, even gently, with love, look deeper. If your intuition whispers, "This isn't just concern," listen to it. If you feel that your family doesn't have the right to everything, you're right. Being a mother is not biology. It is responsibility. It is protection. It is silence at night when no one is watching and struggle during the day when everyone is watching. I lost a lot. But I kept the most precious thing, my son. His peace. His childhood. And myself.